Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
To demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here. Check out that moon last night. Pretty cool, right? The blood moon. Nice, good-looking moon. Hope you had a chance to get out and see it. If not, there's plenty of places online where you can go find pictures and check out what you missed. Anyway, let's jump into it for today. Today is the 15th, so you can see that it is Passover. You can see that it is a moon that is going from one sign to another, from Libra to Scorpio. That transition takes place in a little more than an hour from now, 11:20 a.m. Pacific time. So Libra is an air sign, going from an air sign to a water sign. Air would be words, actions. Water is emotions, feelings. We're making a transition in that regard, yet the same sun sign is going to be in effect, which will be Aries, which is about putting things in order. So all of the things that are going on with the words and with the emotions and all the actions taking place underneath are all looking for a way to be ordered, and that's what the conscious mind is looking to do, to make sense of all of this. So when we get that Scorpio, remember we're dealing with energies that are deep down, and so we need to allow them to come up, look at them, process them, not be afraid of them, because sometimes when they're very deep we don't see them for some time, and when we do, they might seem foreign to us. Later this evening, before midnight, we have a trine between Scorpio and Neptune. So we have two water signs involved right there. A lot of emotions and a good vibe, good feelings will go on there. Unexpected changes. So a good way to wrap up the day. Alright, let's go over and look at our numerology for today. Perhaps, maybe not. Alright, here we have the number 8. Let's see how we arrived at the number 8. This is the way. We have 4, 15, 2014. So 4 plus 6 plus 7 is 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. 8 right here. Strength. Tarot card of strength. The word associated with this is righteousness or right useness. The right useness of the energy. In this case, learn how to tame the conscious mind. The unconscious and the conscious mind learn to work together, as you can see right here. The female represents the conscious mind, the lion represents the animal nature of the conscious. So you have the feminine subconscious taming the animal nature of the conscious mind, and together there's a lot of harmony once that occurs. The whole idea is learning to channel the energy you have, that love, through your heart chakra first, and that is the true strength of everything. A few other associations with the number 8, authoritative, business-minded leaders, value control, tend to be powerful, but are also balanced, materially detached, successful, and realistic. On the dark side, they can be cruel, insensitive, violent, bullish, greedy, or prideful is one of the things we associate with the lion. Alright, let's take a look over here to see where that falls in place. Here's the lion right here. It's a doorway. It goes between mercy and severity. So we open up that door, and that doorway is a doorway that deals with this middle chamber here. Okay, we use our imagination, enter into the inner chamber, and we use our hearts to really allow that inner chamber access into the center of beauty. Okay, so it's very important that we understand see what these lessons are, and particularly the paths between the lessons, how we use them. We bridge the lessons of mercy and severity with our right useness of the energy. That way things aren't too rough or too merciful. Right in the middle. The other numbers for today, it's death, 13, comes from victory back to the heart, right here. So from the emotions and the feelings, we take that in and we look at those emotions in another way, and it takes us back to the center of beauty, back to the heart space. We go over to the current moon phase. We got a full moon. We saw that last night. And here we go again for tonight's lineup right here. Says the after dark, look east for the lineup of Mars, Spica, and just past full moon in that order from the top down. So here's our alignment for today. Mars, Spica, is that right? Let's go over here to the Mayan Oracle. It's an 11-tone day. 11 tones called the spectral tone of liberation. It's that tone where everything dissolves to become bigger than it is. So we've gone this whole journey of synchronicity and navigation, and now we're about to take what we learned with that, let it dissolve so that knowledge and understanding becomes more. We have that blue hand of accomplishment, guided by accomplishment. Our guide for today and the kin are both the same. The hidden power is timelessness, knowing that life continues on, everything is timeless. Our challenge is to remember the synchronicity that we've been learning and dealing with, and our like-minded energy is our free will. Phrase for today is I dissolve in order to know, releasing healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. Over at space weather, our solar wind is currently at 345.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet, 2 to 3 range. Nothing in the way of corona holes except this little one up here. It's not facing our way at all. M-class flare possibility is up to 35. X-class is only at 5. And then geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low. In the upper latitudes, you get 35% chance, 25 in the mid. That's about it. And we can see here on our Jewish calendar, today is the second Seder, the first day of Passover. Second Seder is tonight. Okay, and this is a day, time that lasts all the way through next week, 22nd. All right, so there you have it. That gets us started for today. Let's jump over to UFO News. That's up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. First sighting here actually takes us back to a long time ago. This is it says Noah's Ark or Incan temple found in Lake Titicaca by UFO Researcher. So since this is an underwater thing, we thought might want to check it out. Maybe this is an underwater base of some sort or something more. While I was searching for UFOs on Google Earth, I decided to have a look at this Lake Titicaca, where I found a structure under the water. This object is 290 meters long. It's 953 feet, according to Google Ruler. At its widest, it is 51 meters, 168 feet, but at its thinnest side is only 31 meters. The object is also 200 meters from land. Many cigar UFOs have had this shape and size, but when I did a little digging, I found that an ancient temple had been found in Lake Titicaca back in 2000, and it was 660 feet long, 160 feet wide. At first I thought this was the same structure, but the measurements indicated that the one I found is over 35% longer and is 32 miles away from the capital city of Bolivia, La Paz, which is different from the 2000 discovery, 90 miles from the capital. So what I found is an all-new discovery. The hypothesis of this being an ancient Incan temple exists. The fact that many UFO sightings have been recorded over Lake Titicaca is also something that must be considered. Another UFO was discovered underwater in the Baltic Sea back in 2011, which caused electrical interference that disabled radar and underwater video recording, not to mention the murky waters blocking its view. I believe it is possible this could be a UFO that had crashed in the lake thousands of years ago. Right. Something seems odd. Some seem even more likely that this may be Noah's Ark. What I mean is that the measurements are about 50% bigger than Wikipedia says. Wikipedia said the ark was 300 cubits or 450 long by 50 cubits, which is 75 feet. 75 feet is just 28 feet shorter than the one side of the object in Lake Titicaca. Measurements are close, but what really hits me is the ancient Inca lore. Inca lore says after a great flood, the god Viracocha arose from Lake Titicaca to create a new world. He rose after a great flood, which sounds like what happened to Noah. Incan lore goes on to say that he commanded the sun, the moon, the stars to rise, then went to Tianaco to create the first human beings, Maluku Kupak and Mama Wasilo. These first humans, the Inca Adam and Eve, were reformed from stone and brought to life by Viracocha, who commanded them to go out and populate the world. Thus, Lake Titicaca is the birthplace of the Incas. Now that sounds just like Noah landed into Lake Titicaca, and ancient Incas were direct descendants of Noah. Have we finally found the Ark? That's the question. And here we have a whole video showing how we found this and so on. This is Scott C. Waring. Alright, so check it out. Good information. Let's go on to the next story here. This is a black ring. There's the black ring right there. It appeared over Warwickshire, England. According to the Daily Mirror, a 16-year-old Georgian was playing tennis with her mom when she saw the UFO moving past. The pair saw a clearly defined black circle which looked like a giant smoke ring. The UFO hovered for 3 minutes before it disappeared. Georgina stated that she looked up at the object in the sky and thought, well, what the hell is that? It was just floating there like a cloud and then it disappeared. It wasn't birds either. There were about 10 of us who stopped doing what we watched. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. The video below shows the object over a tree, but ends before the UFO disappears, which would have been helpful to determine if it was a smoke ring or UFO cloaking. A similar UFO was recorded by some U.S. soldiers in September 1957 at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Private Stone remembered his Kodak Brownie camera, which was in his car. He ran over to the car, which was parked nearby, grabbed the camera, took 6 pictures in fairly rapid sequence. After the second picture was taken, the strange ring started to develop a mist around itself. It thickened rapidly until it was more like a small cloud. Within 30 to 60 seconds, the black ring was completely enveloped in a small, compact cloud of its own. Okay, so this is current, and the past sighting, well, you can go dig it up yourself. Moving from there, we have a sighting over Dublin, Ireland. An amazing video footage of a great UFO sighting recorded in the night sky above Dublin, Ireland on the 14th. This shows what appears to be a big UFO in the sky with green and red lights. A great sighting is worth investigating. And Garda, I'm sure, have already been updated by the mysterious craft. What on earth could it have been? Resembles one report from Russia last year where green, red lighted craft were over a power plant. Okay, you can see it's quite colorful. This is what it looks like here. That one's pretty cool looking, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big lights and one blinking one in the center. Alright, very cool. Let's move on from there. It has to do with a book. Murdering UFO experts is the latest claim made by some UFO researchers with the death of a crop circle researcher who was discovered floating off the coast of Portsmouth. The suspicious death of people who had had UFO-related evidence supposedly started as early as 1947, some UFO researchers claim. U.S. military allegedly shot down a plane that is believed to have been carrying fragments of a space UFO, while the death of James Forrestal, the country's first Secretary of Defense, has something to do with the truth about the flying saucer. The so-called suspicious pattern of deaths was brought up once again by 3 by activist Steve Bassett, as he spoke about the subject on national radio show Coast to Coast in America. The book Close Encounters of the Fatal Kind by Nick Redfern is scheduled to be out this summer. Recent cases of death include leading crop circle investigator Paul Vigay, 44 years old. He was one of the main contributors on Mel Gibson's film Signs. Nigel Watson, author of the Haynes UFO Manual, says the crop circle researcher was discovered floating off Portsmouth coast in 2009. Watson says that while some UFO researchers believe aliens might be responsible for the killings to cover their existence on Earth, many think the killings might be the work of government agents. Watson further says that some cases could be just coincidences or people trying to just relate all the cases of UFOs to conspiracy, but certainly some strange events have been happening. He notes that UFO researcher Philip Schneider claimed that the government vans followed him and many times tried to bump his car off the road. He says that Schneider became fearful for his personal safety, and unfortunately his worst fear did happen in 1996. He was found dead and rotten body inside his apartment in Wilsonville, Oregon. Initially, it was thought he had died from suffering a stroke, but it was discovered later that in autopsy, his neck was wrapped and knotted by a rubber tubing. Bassett said that he doesn't want to talk about the mysterious death of UFO researchers and respective family members, but the only opinion to prevent more deaths is publicity. Alright, there you go. Very serious thing to definitely deal with. And the last one, another book. This is a book presents facts about Italian UFO sightings. Newly declassified documents of the Italian Air Force are discussed in the newly released book UFO One Dossier Italiani by two Italian journalists, Leo Petrelli and Vincenzo Sinapi. They say both of them searched and examined thousands of documents about UFO reports across Italy. They claim these reports came from people in different fields, including jet fighter pilots, airline pilots, military, police, and even priests. These files were reportedly classified and have been saved for flight safety reference. The two Italians say many of these files were not published. The Italian Air Force started getting interest in UFO investigation in the 50s, according to Italian newspaper Il Mattino. Another Italian newspaper reveals that the book features reports of 56 UFOs from the last 4 years, where in 2010 had the highest number of cases with 22, before declining to 17 in 2001, 10 in 2012. Il Mattino compiled some of the interesting sightings from southern Italy and Campania region. Naples City is the capital of the region. One of these sightings was reported in the town of Raziazes, home of major military airports. The radar of a flight controller registered on a UFO on February 8, 2005. The presence of unknown flying object was confirmed by a C-130 transport aircraft flying in the area. Another case in the region happened in June 15, 2011 at 4:37 p.m. A loud noise had awoken a mother and a 27-year-old student. The student says the witness from the window a great, bright, glowing ball hovering a few feet away from the ground, illuminating their garden. Then they saw the object move in a zigzag pattern, moved upward, and disappeared. The sighting lasted for about 2 minutes, and according to the student, the object was an electrical discharge like a lightning bolt. Gazzetta di Parma reveal a few introductions of stories from the book, including UFO sightings reported by the military, medical officer, and restaurateur. Petrilli and Sinapi say that they give facts in the book. Alright, so check that out. And that is our UFO news for today. We got a bunch more coming up, so stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great Spirit, send down your love, send down your love.
today's the first day of Passover. Last night was the first Seder. Last night was also the blood moon. I hope you had a chance to see it. It was pretty awesome. It got started about, 10:58, and it took over an hour till it got to the point where it was a full moon, or to the eclipse, and then when you did, it was nice and red, and then went back down to normal again. So it was quite a journey, and there were a number of people out, at that late hour, just checking it out, seeing what was going on. It's pretty cool. If you didn't get a chance to go outside to see it, there's plenty of places online that recorded it and captured it, so you can go back and watch that. And it is the first of 4 that will be occurring on specific high holidays in the Jewish calendar. Some refer to it as the biblical calendar. The first one was last night. The next one is coming up on Sukkot, and then next year also on Passover and Sukkot. So these are called the blood moon tetrad, and there are those who say that these are connected with timings of biblical proportions that will unfold. And every time that there has been, not every time, but the last 3 times there have been these occurrences of these blood moon tetrads, it's been a very positive experience for Israel. There's been some progress along, and it is attributed to the fact that the Bible coincides with the biblical calendar, the Jewish calendar, which ties in the timing that God uses on different events that take place down here on Earth. So that's a little bit of the history of that. We'll see how it all unfolds, but nonetheless, last night was the full moon, blood moon, 3 more, and now we are into the Passover season. So I thought I'd start things off with this first day of doing a reading that is done usually on the first day of Passover. And this is from Exodus 21:12, 21 through 51. Then Moses called all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Go and select lambs for yourself, according to your clans, and kill the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop and dip it into the blood that is in the basin, and touch the lintel of the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. None of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning, for the Lord will pass through to strike the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood on the lintel and the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over the house and will not allow the destroyer to enter your houses and strike you. You shall observe this rite as a statute for you and your sons forever. And when you come to the land that the Lord will give you as he promised, you shall keep this service. And when your children say to you, 'What do you mean by this service?' you shall say, 'It is a sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, for he passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Egypt, when he struck the Egyptians, but spared our houses.' And the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the people of Israel went and did so, as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So they did. At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the livestock. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, and he and all of his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where someone was not dead. Then he summoned Moses and Aaron by night, and he said, 'Up, go out from among my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as you have said. Take your flocks and your herds as you have said. Be gone, and bless me also.' The Egyptians were urgent with the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, 'We shall all be dead.' So the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls being bound up in their cloaks and on their shoulders. The people of Israel had also done as Moses told them, for he had asked the Egyptians for silver and gold and for clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they asked. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. And the people of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, beside women and children. A mixed multitude also went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened cakes off the dough that they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. The time the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years, At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It was a night of watching by the Lord to bring them out of the land of Egypt. So this same night is a night of watching kept to all the Lord by all the people of Israel throughout their generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the statute of Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it, but every slave that is brought for money may eat of it after you have circumcised him. No foreigner of hired worker may eat of it. It shall be eaten in one house. You shall not take any of the flesh outside of the house, and you shall not break any of its bones. All of the congregation of Israel shall keep it. If a stranger shall sojourn with you, and would keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who sojourns among you." All the people of Israel did just as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that very day the Lord brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their hosts. Alright, so there you go. That is Exodus 12:21 through 51. One thing that comes to mind in reading this story or any of the biblical stories, or any stories for that matter, is just knowing that we go through lifetime after lifetime. So every lifetime we're having a different experience in a different type of body. Sometimes we were black, sometimes we're white, sometimes we're males, sometimes we're females, and a variety of, different mixes that are out there. And we do this so that we learn things. So there are those who seem to gravitate to the Jewish traditions, but in this particular lifetime they're not Jewish. But perhaps in the other lifetimes they were. And vice versa. We can see this in all walks of life, how people gravitate to learning different subjects and feeling compelled to want to understand different traditions. So I think we've come a long way in life for all of us to realize that we're all part of a big family, that we've all mixed and matched so many times. And so when we look at all of these different traditions, we should be at a point where we can look at them and all understand how they are all part of the same oneness, and we're all learning something very significant from all of these events. So there you have it. That gets us started with the first reading of Passover, and shalom to all of those who are celebrating and honoring and acknowledging. Alright, so let's move on from there. I want to continue on with the life and teachings of the Masters of the Far East. Okay, so far I've done book 1, 2, and 3. Now I want to get into book number 4. Okay, so let's jump into it. Book number 4 is called The Great White Brotherhood and World Peace. It says, before going further into the study of certain underlying laws and facts regarding the teachings of the Masters, it is well to consider the scope of their vision covers. One must enlarge the mind and outlook upon life to that which the Masters work in order to fully understand the proper or the full purport of their teachings. At this time we will deal chiefly with the field to be taken in consideration and the general trends of mankind in order to know that we may fully adapt ourselves to the work that is before us. It is necessary to know the nature and the scope of the field of work before selecting the tools and laying down a plan for tending the field. We must know to what the field is adapted, what crops are to be raised, and to what end the cultivation is to be directed. There must be a purpose of all the work, and it is far beyond the reaches of what we commonly call our own individual nature. Each man's nature in one way or another is virtually associated with life and well-being of every other individual in the world, and what affects one must in some degree affect the rest of humanity. Second, I rather feel that this discussion of peace should be very general because everyone is interested. In fact, the fact is the whole world is becoming peace-minded, and that people are saying that we have had enough of war. People are beginning to understand that war is not a natural condition, and to understand that all those who assume the role of providence by setting themselves up as the embodiment of perfect justice, the creators of happiness, are only deceivers. Peace and happiness, the heart's desire of all humanity, is not a gift to be bestowed upon mankind, but has to be earned by honest effort. There is not such a thing as political miracles. Man has to realize that he alone has the power to work out his destiny with his own intelligence. 3. The sweeping tide of human interest in that which will promote and guarantee peace is the inevitable working out of the universal law, which always moves to promote the common good. God is no respecter of persons. In this awakening of men along peace lines is their response to the movement of the spirit of peace, which is fostered by the masters. Only as the individual identifies himself with universal law can he expect to find his individual good, for it is inseparably united with the common good. For this reason, true progress is slow and suffering is great. 4. There is a great brotherhood throughout the world who have been working for peace for thousands of years. They are back of every movement for world peace and are becoming stronger and stronger all the time. There are now about 216 groups throughout the world. There is always one central unit as a first or centralizing body, and 12 units which surround that unit, giving it more force and power. They are working also for the enlightenment of the whole world. 5. These groups are really composed of human beings who are accentuated by high thoughts of the White Brotherhood. All these groups work together. There is a very strong thought coming to the whole for peace and enlightenment as well. 6. There are many misconceptions regarding the White Brotherhood. It must first be understood that they never make themselves known as such, nor are they exclusively back of any outer organization or organizations. They are universal in their function and purpose, definitely work with universal law to universal ends, and any individual or group working towards the same ends without selfish or group motives may receive their full support. This support may be known on the part of the man, but is more likely to come in the form of an unknown stimulus. That is, the help is not likely to assume the form of coming from any definite place or person. Those receiving this support are conscious only of the help they influence. 7. The League of Nations originally was an instrument of the White Brotherhood, but it was misused in many ways by certain nations and individuals. It will, however, come back to the guidance of the Brotherhood sometime in the future. 8. The birth of a new world is in process. A new order is in process. We are witnessing right now the destruction of an old civilization. The White Brotherhood will assert itself positively in the most important issues when the time is propitious. 9. The time has come when there can be no halfway ground in the purification of the race. Whether or not individuals or groups array themselves against the common good in this day, the mills of God grind swiftly at times and also finely. Only from the siftings shall the selfish and aggressively grasping rear a new life structure. It would be far better to unify oneself with purely creative motives that contribute to universal good, for thereby shall good come to the individual. 10. Often the influences working in universal ideas come into being without much notice. It is something that seems to germinate and move forward as a contagion, while the minds of the many are still so engrossed in other things that they do not notice the change. Then all of a sudden each individual seems to realize that it has come into being and that it is in exact accord with his own secret thoughts. Thus he very often slips into the new order rather unknowingly. The point is to be alert to these secretly developing forces within oneself and in the race, and here one will find the key to the most rapid progress and most vital service in the universal cause. 11. India has maintained peace by using methods identical to those used by these 216 groups about which I have spoken. It was brought about originally by 12 groups which have expanded and are still expanding. The influence of these bodies have been very great, entering into the whole fabric of Indian thought. Their work from the outer point of view has been largely educational. They release information orally, which is acted upon under their direction. Results prove the efficiency of this method. 12. Gandhi studied the situation of nonviolence for 20 years before he began his work, becoming a very deep student of it. The principle has been in existence in India for 600 years. because of the untouchables, it was made operative through Gandhi and his generation. Gandhi went among the untouchables, teaching nonviolence, making it an effective force. The younger generation took it up immediately. They recognized the great effect of it and spread it throughout all India. The younger generations now have brought it before the people stronger than ever. This will eventually result in a dissolution of the caste system. The untouchables became quite an issue there, as it numbered some 65 million, and guidance was necessary because they had such powerful influence. Gandhi had been almost entirely responsible for their present emancipation. 13. Those in the groups mentioned that are working for the world peace are persons of a very high spiritual understanding. One man of each group is always prominent as of the spiritual attainment. 14. There are some 60 in the United States who definitely belong to this association. They are very quiet concerning their connection with it. They do not give out the place of their group meetings or any information concerning their activities. 15. This is why so many people are more or less incredulous concerning the great work being done by the illumined. They are so accustomed to outer show and display that they cannot imagine any great work being done in such quiet, simple manner. But if one will stop to think for just a moment, he will realize that all the motivating forces of the universe are silent, and those who work consciously with these forces move according to motives. There will come a time, however, when they will work more openly, but that will be when there are enough illumined people to know and understand just what they are doing. Study your own experiences. Are you not aware that the silent influences working underneath the surface of your own being are those forces which control your life more than the outwardly manifest things which you express in words? However, just as these silent broodings of your own inner nature eventually find their outer expression when you are in an environment which harmonizes with them, you do not hesitate to express them. Study yourself, and you will find everything working in you just as it is in the race. What the Father sees in secret, he will reward you openly, is not an idle statement, but it reveals the manner in which all things come into being in the outer world. To understand this fact will not only be better understand yourself, but also the manner of the universal spiritual work that is going on underneath the surface all the time. It is only through adapting oneself to this sort of conscious procedures that he will be able to clearly trace the workings of the secret brotherhood. Their activities are hidden only to those who do not discern the mode of accomplishment. We are accustomed to noise and display, and the quiet yet most powerful forces inside ourselves and the world about us go unnoticed. We follow the noisy people into bypaths and lose the path of life that moves in stillness through our own individual being. 16. The Brotherhood is not properly an organization, as anyone can belong who will work constructively, either openly or silently, for peace. It is rather an association of kindred spirits that cooperate in fact with any association or organization that is for the benefit of mankind or the advancement of humanity. 17. The group in India works silently, but it's influence that brings these bodies together and coordinates their activities. It was the activity of this very group that brought the Nobel Peace Prize before the world. Tolstoy was a great factor in making this principle practically effective, but it has always been presented throughout the 9 rulers of India. Tolstoy was an advanced soul. He was working with the great central group of all time. While no one knows its exact location, the 13th group has always been a very dominant factor in world education. The group of 12 are working in every educational center in the world. These groups are not organizations here or anywhere that makes propaganda for world peace. It was seen that the spoken word, or the silent word, when sent out to the world, was a far greater influence than that of the written word. The written word can be garbled. The spoken word is an ever-expanding and ever-increasing influence. Here again is the wisdom of the wise, which has always been in evidence. So long as constructive forces work in secret, they grow unnoticed by those who would destroy their effect. The world does not realize the advance of the constructive force until it has already undermined the storage structures of the selfish and self-seeking, and then it is too late. At the time of such helpless disintegration, and only then are the activities of the Brotherhood likely to come out into the open to strengthen the truth in all minds of all the people. This is not done through fear of attack, but through knowledge of the most powerful way to bring any great constructive movement for world betterment. The selfish have no access to it. 22. In a sense, all those who are working for India's freedom or for freedom and peace of the world are avatars, as the Western world looks at avatars. Many of the great ones have been disseminating the teachings for thousands of years. Jesus has been working and is working definitely for the betterment of the whole world. 23. The reason many people look at the Western world and do not recognize the work of avatars is that they can conceive of them only as working on the surface, saying and doing spectacular and miraculous things in public. They do not know that the true miracles are always worked out in silence first. 24. Regarding arbitration as an instrument for world peace, this movement was started in the Punjab of India. It is a powerful instrument of world peace. It has completely outlawed aggression. India never did use an aggressive attitude, nor did it encourage open warfare in that territory at all. And the Punjab was the great influence back of the whole movement. It has been maintained throughout India for about 3,000 years. Non-aggression and arbitration have been proven practical. 25. W.J. Bryan, consciously or unconsciously actuated by the silent influence, succeeded in getting peace treaties with all 4 nations. So far, no national character has since dared to take up his work. It will be taken up again someday in the future with the forming of a board of men unknown to the outer world that will have complete authority from the peace societies and groups working unselfishly for world peace. 26. If the financial world were to get behind this movement for unity, it would be the greatest influence for peace. There could be no finances for war. It could be impossible to finance war, and hence there could be no war. If the cooperative system should be adopted universally, there could be no booms and no more depressions. It would also be of a great influence in the abolition of war. As a matter of fact, cooperation is coming into existence. The people who do not cooperate and align themselves with this new order will be outlawed completely. 27. Following the spreading tendency to outlaw war, people will have their eyes open to the causes of war, which are the sole promotion of group and national advantages. The practice of non-cooperation will also be outlawed as a contributing cause of war. This brings the whole thing right down to the individual, and each must outlaw his own selfishness and self-seeking at the expense of others. He, as an individual, will find that the best way to promote his own interest is to promote the common interest, and the only way to preserve his own good is to preserve the good of the whole. This silent tendency is now being awakened on a broad scale, but each individual must find its beginning in himself, and the one who earnestly searches his own soul will find the embryo of this movement increasing in his own nature every day. Spreading from individual to individual, it will grow into a mighty world movement and will be the ultimate motive in human activities. Just as the individuals who does not obey the eternal trend of his inner nature is destroyed, so will such groups, institutions, religious organizations, races, and nations be disintegrated, leaving the world for those who live the law of God and live the law in relationship to every other man and nation. 28. In all modern movements, it is clearly revealed that the changes must first be in the individual, for his own nature is properly correlated with the movement back of outer conduct. He becomes a disintegrating factor in any movement that might otherwise accomplish untold good. One can scarcely do anything in the form of accomplishing universal peace until he has found peace within his own nature, and he cannot find peace in his own nature until he has long enough truly in touch with the unseen forces which move towards the common good. 29. There's no question that the universal first must be at peace. Individual must first be at peace, not only that he must realize what it means to the individual as well as to the nation. If he centralizes in that idea of peace, he projects that influence and he becomes one of the great moving factors of the spiritual movement of the age. This peace movement is one of the most definite factors towards spiritual enlightenment as well. 30. Politics will be broken down completely in the new system that is coming, but so long as the present political system setup endures, no really effective program can be launched and carried to a successful conclusion. Everyone who keeps in step with this trend of the times is receiving all the help he is capable of receiving from these higher forces. Some of them receive this help consciously, some unconsciously, but nevertheless, help is there. Some have gone so far that they know and acknowledge this help. 31. Political parties in the working out of the underneath movement of constructive forces will probably merge into the great party for greater simplicity of government. These changes must come through our party system, moving into single chamber legislation and not divided. A house divided itself shall fall. That will eradicate a great many of our political evils. This will all originate from the states due to change being brought about. It is coming as a national movement in the United States. 32 pieces here. When we relate ourselves definitely to that principle, it makes us a working unit. Alright, so there you go. That is a good start for the fourth book. Now, I'm sure that you've heard things in there, world, new order, and things of this nature that make you wonder how they might be connected. It's different. They're not using the term new world order. They're not advancing the cause of a particular political party. This is simply understanding that there are systems in place that get corrupted, and certainly some of the things they talked about, like the United Nations, became corrupted from what the good idea that it was. So we're correcting these issues. Men take ideas from God and turn them around to try to fit their own needs, as opposed to just allowing those ideas of God to take over them so that they become more in touch with their divinity. So check out the book. It's a good book. If you haven't read the other ones, keep reading them, and I think you'll find that by the time you get through all of the books, you will have gained a great deal of information that you will find very useful to you. All right? Very good. Moving on. Here's an article from In5D. It says the universal law of harmony. The first, foremost, and most important of all of the 20 universal laws is the law of harmony. It is also similar to the 7 cosmic laws of Hermes Trismegistus, called the principle of harmony and balance, which states harmony is the flow of life. Everything strives for harmony, for balance. The stronger determines the weaker and makes it equal to itself. Everything around you is energy, including your thoughts and feelings. For example, empaths can intuitively feel and perceive other people's emotions and feelings without the other person saying a word. These energies create vibrations and are either harmonious or disharmonious with the universe, and can not only affect you, but the other people you come in contact with. Perhaps this explains why the mainstream media, most governments, try to keep us living in perpetual states of fear. When we live in fear, we can easily be controlled. Negative emotions such as fear, jealousy, and envy will keep you from living in a state of disharmony and create blockages, which in turn will bring repetitive cycles of negative emotions and experiences until you can fully release whatever disharmonious emotion or experiences that are attached to you. For example, when we get angry at someone, it usually isn't something we personally dislike with that person, but more likely is something that we fear within ourselves. This provides us an opportunity to overcome this fear or negative emotion through self-reflection while helping us on our spiritual progressions. The universe always works in perfect balance. By aligning yourself with positive energy, you will in turn receive positive energy. When you align yourself with negative energy, you create a disharmonious ripple effect. This law supersedes even the fundamental law of karma, for harmony is the supreme potential of balance. The purpose of karma is to attain harmony. If you throw a rock into a pond, you disturb the harmony of that pond. You are the cause. The effect is the splash and the ripple that flows out and back until harmony is restored. Similarly, your disharmonious actions flow out into the universe and back up on you, lifetime after lifetime, until eventually your own harmony is restored. When you give unconditional love to others, you open the space to receive unconditional love for yourself. When you give anything away freely, that which you are seeking, you are also allowing that which you are seeking to enter. When we give to others, we create for ourselves. The energies are in perfect harmony with one another. Unfortunately, this works with both positive and negative energies, as the universe will seek a matching balance for those energies. One thing you can do is to silently send love to everyone that come in contact with. If someone walks by you on the street, smile and say good morning, but in your mind also say, I love you. When you are driving, you can do the same thing to drivers in the oncoming traffic. Or you might try stargazing and send out that intent of love to the galaxies in the universe. Once you begin to release all the fear, the universe will align itself with your new energies. You can tell that you are in perfect alignment. You are receiving that which you are positively giving to others. This does not necessarily mean wealth or materialistic possessions, but it is more on a level of positive energy exchange. although it could possibly include money and physical possessions. The main aspect is the intent behind it. When you give, you always give without conditions attached or something expecting in return. When you do this, the universe will reward your kind acts to others to create a symbiotic balance between what you have done for others and what you're about to receive. The universal law of harmony is arguably the most important of the 20 laws. To view the remaining 19, click here. Just click here, and here's all the rest of them. The 20 laws. Alright? We can get into this another time. I just want to do the law of harmony today. And let us move on to our message. This is our channeled message today, and this is Hilarion. I hear Hilarion every week, so good messages. Let's check it out, see what is being said.
Hilarion.
April 13th to 20th, 2014.
Beloved ones, now is the perfect time to do nice things for yourselves, for you are each most worthy of them. Take a break from your routine and do something different, for this helps to bring refreshment and renewal to the soul. For those who have come here to serve, this is often difficult, as taking care of oneself is the last thing on one's agenda. It is, however, one of the new habits that should be developed. When an individual gives love to themselves first, love given to others comes easily and flows unhindered from an unfettered soul. Finding your way through the perplexities and challenges of life, which are further embellished by great downloads of energies from the celestial realms, can make life experience interesting, but most worthwhile, and this is when most new revelations come into view, and writing these down is very helpful to record for later perusal and contemplation. The world at this time is beset with a plethora of challenging events that vie for your attention, and it is important to analyze these from the viewpoint of your heart feelings. If there is something you can do about it, such as sending light and prayers into those situations, then by all means do so on a regular basis. If, however, it brings up old world thought patterns and values which limit you and bring your own energy down, then be scrupulous about clearing these from your consciousness, for they do not serve you in your new beginning of a new way of living upon earth. Replace these patterns with nourishing and life-enhancing thoughts and habits which reinforce those concepts that help you move into the life you have always dreamed of living. You are the creator of every facet of your life, and fostering all the good you desire to experience in it will serve you well. Let go of all that holds you back from the life you are meant to live. Each day spend time blessing everyone and everything around you. By developing this new habit of being on a daily basis, you are creating new templates of thought patterns which are a reflection of the higher vision you wish to see anchored into the new reality. You will find in time that this brings the blessings you intend for others to visit upon your own reality. You are in effect bringing heaven on earth, and that is indeed what you are here to do. What you send out into the universe is reflected back to you, and when you are living and embodying the higher vision of your life, you are enabling those around you to do the same, for always remember that your energy field extends many miles in all directions and touches all of life within that field. You are not here to do this work alone, you are here to be in unity with other light workers by doing this work, who create a greater field of light that affects all of life upon this planet. Yes, there are many who are still influenced and affected by the lower energies of previous cycles, and what happens when you direct your attention along with the other light workers into the new thought patterns of kindness, generosity, sharing, caring, abundance and prosperity on a daily basis is the resetting and renewing of the consciousness of humanity into those attributes that you are emulating. You are the pattern breakers and also the pattern makers. You are creating the world as you move along through your daily existence. If each person on earth took responsibility for their own actions of all that they create on a daily basis, the glorious new world would be manifest much more quickly. And so we ask that you continue to do the work upon yourselves to create changes in your thinking and doing, and this in turn creates changes in the destiny of all life upon this planet. You are that important in the overall scheme of things, and this is why we want you to love and honor yourselves each day. The well of life within you must not be allowed to run dry, but must be renewed with zest and enthusiasm on a regular basis to recharge your batteries, so to speak. Until next week. I am Hilarion.
Alright, very nice message, as always. So let's jump from here into our meditation for today. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath, and exhale again. Now continue to breathe and contemplate this affirmation for today. I easily manifest my heart's desires. I easily manifest my heart's desires. And just know truly that you do manifest your heart's desires the moment that you set them forth. For the universal law is always in effect, that what we desire, the moment we ask, we shall receive, and all that is required is faith in knowing that it shall unfold. So imagine yourself setting forth your desire into the world. And from the moment you set that desire and express it to God, imagine that desire is created in order to be able to satisfy that which you desire. And then imagine that as an energy coming from God back to you. And as you see this, you step back and you experience people around the world asking for things that they desire. You see these energies moving their way, but then oftentimes we see people get in the way and block the very things they're wanting. Because one of the important things is to be patient and to allow things to work out according to the way it needs to. Trusting that once we ask, we shall receive. And simply giving thanks for that which is coming to us. So in that regard, we give thanks to the great creative spirit of life. Thanks for the life that we have, for the love that we share, for the peace that we've attained, and the perfection that we ever strive for. Let us imagine sending love all around the world. And with this love, thankfulness for the ability to share love and send love, and to receive love as well. And as we go forth into the world today, let us just think a kind thought for everybody in the world. A kind thought for everybody going through the challenges of today, that they might find life to be smoother and easier. That they may find a moment of peace and tranquility in the challenges that they may be facing. So we send love, light, positivity around the world, and just see that love, light, and positivity absorbing down into the earth and affecting each and every individual upon the planet. And let's send this love, light, and positivity up into the cosmos, to the planets, to the stars, to our space brothers and sisters. See them smiling as they know that we are thinking of them. And let us know that as we send out this love, light, and positivity, we are affecting our world, the world around us, strengthening it, nurturing it with all those things that evolve. So let's go into the world now. Let our subconscious mind continue on this path of sending out good vibes unconsciously. And let us bring our conscious mind back to the present moment, where we also continue to send out positive vibes from a conscious place as well. 3, coming back to this present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Have an awesome day. If you're celebrating Passover, have a good time, have great memories, and all that good stuff. Much in love and light to each and every one of you. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, be safe and keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.